Hi, I'm Ruthie, owner of Defy the Status Quo, and you're listening to an episode of the Defiant Business Podcast. This is your 10-minute Monday through Friday shot of business knowledge. So let's get into it. Today, we're going to talk about how outsourcing can actually be better for your employee productivity. So, specifically, when I talk about outsourcing, I'm normally talking about content, which is fair because I'm a content consultant. That's what we do at Defy the Status Quo. So we're going to run with that as the example, but keep in mind that this applies to pretty much any type of task or service that you would consider outsourcing to a freelancer, another company or agency or something like that. So we're going to go with blogging. I feel like that's where most companies, right next to social media, that's where most companies kind of dip in their toe in terms of content marketing. So blogging doesn't seem like too big of an extra task, right? Like how much time can it take to write up a blog post? But then you have to consider, okay, what about the content plan? I mean, what are we actually going to be writing about? Uh, oh, to develop the content plan, we need to do keyword research. Uh, who's going to learn that? Okay, we should be tying content to business objectives. That's interesting. What are those again? Because I just work here and I come in Monday through Friday. I may not be too clear on the actual business objectives, right? So, like your marketing director, probably is pretty clear on the business objectives, the business goals, but it's not always considered necessary to share those in detail with your employees. So now we've got to create the content plan, do the keyword research, and tie our content, every single piece, to a business objective. How is this content supporting the business? Okay. Oh, and we should probably have a downloadable of some sort, right? Like a white paper or an ebook, a research report, something. Okay, who's going to do that? And hint, we covered white papers in season one, and a white paper can easily take 20 to 30 hours to actually finish, and that's normally over the course of 6 to 8 weeks. But I digress. Continuing on. Oh, now we need a distribution plan for our content. Whew, okay, so now that's two plans. We've got the content plan, but then we also have to have a distribution plan because once you write it, it's not a case of, build it and they will come. It's, build it and then distribute it so people know about it and they will come. So you actually have to have a plan in place for that. And then who's checking our analytics to make sure that, everything is performing the way that it should. And okay, I've gotten into Google Analytics. I've gotten into our, other analytic sources that we're at or sources that we have. What do they mean? Right? So you see how this all becomes, it just kind of snowballs. At first, it seems very easy, but then people are asking questions about ROI. Okay, what's the ROI that we're getting? We have so and so spending, 10 hours a week on blogging and social media and stuff. What's the ROI to the business for that? Because we're paying them for that. What's the ROI? To get real ROI from content, it does take time, but there are short-term KPIs that you can measure to help kind of predict how content is going to eventually, how that content's eventually going to perform over time. But that's exactly what it is. Content marketing kind of has builds momentum, and that's another way that it generates long-term ROI for the business. But that level of content marketing, the kind that does generate real ROI and has metrics that you can actually report on, that may take up more time than the people in your marketing department actually have time for. So what I'm talking about here is that even if it seems like the people that you assign this to aren't doing anything or they have time, they are doing something with their 40 hours right now, right? I'm assuming that your marketing employees are 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. So they're doing something with their 40 hours right now, which means they're going to have to be able to fit in the content and this other thing. So there's going to be some juggling of responsibilities and things. It shouldn't be a problem, but it is something new. New projects might only be taken up half-heartedly. So, whether it's blogging or, like I said, like white papers or case studies, those can be pretty big projects and they can have many points of failure. And oftentimes with employees who are only half-heartedly taking on a project, one failure is enough for them to kind of put it on the back burner, especially if nobody's checking on them. You may have to give a content project to an employee, not because they're the best fit, but because they've got time. Maybe your best writer or your best video person or your best social media person, they're engaged on another marketing project right now. And so, hey, this white paper is going to go to John Smith, because he's got time. Okay, well, then it kind of goes back to point number one, right? About employees taking up projects half-heartedly. John Smith doesn't want to do a white paper. He would rather be on social media. That's short, that's fast, like, heart, GIF, meme. He'd rather be there. So he's not going to be super happy about taking on this project either. Employees aren't always going to tell you when you've got a bad content idea. I've got to be honest, most of my clients, when we start working together, one of the things that they tell me in the discovery call is, I don't know this stuff. I just want somebody to tell me, hey, we can do this, we can do that. That's a good idea. That's a bad idea. I actually want somebody who's going to tell me. So there's two reasons why employees might not tell you. Nobody likes to deliver bad news. They don't. Second of all, they may not know enough to deliver bad news. So that's what makes it so important about, having somebody who knows enough to actually be able to tell you that you've got a bad idea. Sometimes people do this when what they really mean is, I don't know. So when you're spitting these content ideas at your marketing meeting, and you see this all around the table, but maybe you should be seeing this, so you're reinforcing these ideas that you've come up with, and you being a marketing director, or maybe you're the CEO who's really involved in marketing because you're a smaller company, but you're kind of reinforcing, you're developing kind of a self reinforcing bias within your marketing department or anybody who contributes to your marketing, because they don't have the expertise to tell you that it's a bad idea. So the big question is okay, you're looking at assigning content to these people, these marketing people. Have any of them received content training? Do they understand writing for search engines and writing for your end user? Do they understand the sorts of market research that they're going to have to do? Are they well versed in the analytics and actually being able to report to you on that ROI? If none of them have received that sort of training, but you have people who are interested, then I would go for it. I would definitely develop those employees. When you invest in your employee education and help them grow in unexpected ways, they value that, and it can increase employee loyalty to your company. But if you don't have people jumping up out of their seat for that, then in order to create the best long-term assets, what you're probably going to want to do is outsource your content. And so the best way to do that, you're going to have to interview agencies, interview, solo practitioners like myself who can build teams and work on tying your content or tying your business objectives, how that translates into your content and the best sorts of content for you to create. So that's been an episode of the Defiant Business Podcast, and I'm Ruthie, and I look forward to seeing you next time.